Welcome to a special episode of the Read Pile. Today I'm focusing on a couple of Kickstarter books. We're going to start with Console Wars. I've had both of these for about a month, and I've just had difficulty finding time to shoot Read Pile videos. There's a lot of other stuff going on. So I want to talk about both of these because I think they are both worth talking about and worth getting some additional eyes on if you are curious, because both of these are great, by the way. We're going to start with Console Wars, and even before I get to the comic itself, I just want to talk about the packaging. So it did come to me in a hard sleeve. I think you can find additional information at coastalcomics.com. It does seem to just lead to a Twitter page. I don't have Twitter. I can't see shit. But I was impressed because this guy knows how to pack, right? So he sealed it, taped it down, and it was below the tearaway strip. Like, it's attention to detail. It's really well done. This did come with some extra things, including a flyer for his next book. This is Gunbrain, so like already there's an ad for his next thing. I believe both Gunbrain and Console Wars issue 2 will be kickstarted this year. I think there may have been, I think there were some stickers that came with this too, and if I weren't a disorganized mess, I would know where those are. But there was other stuff in the package as well, including this bookmark, which I also find very clever. Would you like to savor progress? For a bookmark? Come on. ConsoleWarsComic.com. Actually, try that. Because I was about to mention Coastalvania, which I don't think gets mentioned here, but Coastalvania is coastal, like Castlevania, Coastalvania. You can find a bunch of Corey's pins. I have several of his pins stuck to jackets and coats of mine. They are very well done, very well made, just great. But would you like to savor progress? For a bookmark, come on, that's clever stuff. I like it. So, Console Wars is basically the story of the console wars, starting with the Atari generation, and it's represented here. This will get to the Nintendo generation by the end of the issue, and then it will continue Genesis. Where did my mind go? PlayStation and so forth. But holy cow, why did I just blank out? Oh goodness. So I think if you are within, I don't know, I'm 45, I'll just say. And Atari kind of overstayed its welcome, I think, in our house. We didn't get Nintendo, the first Nintendo, until Super Nintendo was already out. So, like, Atari was a big part of my growing up experience. We played the hell out of Atari, honestly. But I know people that are, just a couple of years younger that didn't have Atari or ColecoVision or whatever else. But Ennui knocks. And even here, inside front cover, right? Rewind the story, advance the story, save progress. It's well done. Also, this is Corey's brand. He's been putting a stamp on things recently, but like loading start, everything is just well thought out. It's clever. The consoles are these giant robots. These are two of the pilots, and they are fighting against the Ennui knocks. And there's a story that goes along with all of this, and it's well done. Art is great, and there's a couple of... So this is one page. He's walking here. He's got this Game On jacket, and then a couple of pages later, something happens, and now he's walking again, but it's kind of a peg leg, a Game Over jacket. And like, it's well done. It's really well done. I will say one thing, because I thought... Before I read the story, this is Gino Jr., and you'll, I think, recognize who that's supposed to represent. But before I started reading the story, and despite the junior suffix, I thought this was a woman. Maybe it's the curves there of the overalls. I don't know. I thought it was I thought it was a woman. It's not. It's a dude. No big deal. But kind of every time I look at him, I still think it's a her. Anyway, so consoles are giant mechs that are being piloted to fight off This is the biggest one that has surfaced yet. So it's Tari versus kind of interdimensional ET, and like it's so well done. It's so good. If you know anything about Atari and ET, you'll get what that's referencing. But like all of it, every aspect of it is well crafted. This deserves some extra eyes. I'm just going to broadly say support Corey in whatever capacity. Get some pins. There are some art prints on Coastalvania. Check out whatever. It's not here. Where did that go? Check out consolewarscomic.com. See if you can get this. If you can, if you are interested, then I recommend it. I recommend just getting stuff from Corey. He's excellent. A Ghost Arm Made of Angry Ghosts is not a Kickstarter that I personally backed, but a friend of mine, Winston, got this, and if I remember the story right, and again, this is about a month ago now, but he had wound up with an extra copy of this, and he asked if anyone wanted it, and I'm like, hell yeah. There's this sick Mahfood cover, which is awesome. But I sat on this, and I didn't immediately read it. It is 68 pages, so it took a little bit to get through, while I had, like I said, a bunch of other stuff going on. But it's impressively well done. I kind of have low expectations in general, and I probably shouldn't, because like I've received some great stuff via Kickstarter, but in generally I have like a low expectation of Kickstarter books. This shatters expectations. This is one of the most well-written comics that I've read, period. It has, I'm going to say, some of the most natural sounding dialogue I've seen. Like, this writer, I have not heard of before, but whew, the writing is really well done. The dialogue in particular. The story is kind of all over the place, because really if you're counting this as a title, then this is kind of the first panel, and it already starts on this tangent that is going off into sandwiches and the origin of sandwich. And it's wild that that's page 1 of the book. Page 1, panel 1 starts a tangent about sandwiches before even getting into the story itself. And so I'm like, all right, I guess we're not starting the story, but I'm along for the ride. And then there are other instances of that where the main story just kind of takes a backseat to this weird tangent that's happening. And I went along for all of it. But at its core is a story of this guy. His name is Ari. And Ari and his friend, her, are into the music scene. This takes place in Washington, D.C. And there are kind of superpowered beings, but it's all of it in... powers have been around long enough that it's commonplace, and everyone kind of has their own weird thing. Ari actually turns invisible, and it seems to be non-voluntary when it happens. I don't know why. So here he's... his arm is fading. That's what's happening here. And then he gets undressed and then just walks home invisible. I don't know why he had to... I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But he undresses, becomes invisible, and then puts his clothes back on. That's the one thing I think I don't understand. But anyway, it's just really well done. It's very well crafted. There is a murder mystery that happens. It's not much of a mystery. I think we know who did it. But there is kind of a murder mystery at the end of this. As far as one murder? Maybe 2 murders? That's the question. How many murders? Anyway, art's great. The story is awesome. I don't know, because I didn't kickstart this myself, if there will be more. I think there will be because of how this ends. And at that point, I will definitely get more, because this was really well done. I recommend this as well if you are at all interested. I think I'm gonna loan this out to a couple of people. See if they're interested as well. Just get some additional eyes on this, because it's... Whew, I very much enjoyed it. There's one of the murders taking place. But yeah, there's kind of a narration that happens as well, and one of the asides, spoiler, this is Ari's mother. That's crazy. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's really well done. Highly recommended. I don't want to say much else. But yes, really well done. These are great Kickstarter comics. If you are able to find these, to get them, I recommend both. And just clever stuff. It's really well done.